The sun beat down on the vast open plains of Wyoming, the kind of heat that makes the air shimmer. For old-timer rancher Jedediah, it was just another day, or so he thought. With over 50 years of experience wrangling horses, he'd seen it all. But he had never seen a Mustang quite like this one. A magnificent creature, with a coat the color of midnight and eyes that burned with a fiery, untamed spirit. He called him Shadow. For weeks, Jedediah had been trying to gentle the stallion, a challenge that tested all his skill and patience. The horse was a legend in the area, a ghost that no one could get close to. But Jedediah was determined. That fateful afternoon, he finally managed to get a rope around Shadow's neck. The horse, however, had other plans. With a powerful surge, the Mustang bolted, not towards the open plains, but straight for the jagged, treacherous foothills of the Bighorn Mountains. The rope tightened around Jedediah's wrist, yanking him off his feet. He was dragged, bouncing and scraping over rocks and sagebrush, the world a blur of dust and pain. He shouted, he cursed, he tried to free himself, but the stallion was a force of nature, pulling him deeper and deeper into the unforgiving landscape. His last conscious thought was of the irony after a lifetime of mastering horses, he was about to be ended by one. When Jedediah awoke, the first thing he noticed was the silence. The punishing sun was gone, replaced by a soft, diffused light. He was lying on a bed of cool, green moss, not the dusty, rock-strewn ground he'd been dragged over. His body ached, but miraculously nothing seemed broken. He sat up, his head swimming, and looked around. He was in a place he didn't recognize. High, sheer cliffs rose on all sides, enclosing a small circular valley no bigger than a few acres. A crystal-clear stream gurgled nearby, and the air was filled with the scent of wildflowers he'd never seen before. It was a hidden paradise, a world away from the harsh plains. And standing by the stream, drinking calmly, was Shadow. The wild Mustang looked at him, not with fire, but with an intelligence that sent a shiver down Jedediah's spine. It was as if the horse had brought him here on purpose. Days turned into a week. Jedediah's survival skills kicked in. He drank from the stream, ate wild berries that Shadow seemed to nudge him towards, and found shelter in a small cave carved into the cliffside. The Mustang never strayed far, acting more like a guardian than a captor. Jedediah slowly realized this valley was unique. The temperature was always mild, a stark contrast to the scorching days and freezing nights outside. Plants thrived here that had no business growing at this altitude. It was a geological and botanical anomaly. But the biggest mystery was still inside that cave. Driven by curiosity, Jedediah started exploring the cave deeper than just its entrance. Armed with a makeshift torch, he ventured into the darkness. The air grew warmer as he went further. He soon discovered the cave wasn't a natural formation. The walls were too smooth, carved with an unnatural precision. And then he saw them, etchings. Covering the walls were intricate carvings, unlike any Native American petroglyphs he had ever seen. They depicted strange celestial maps, complex geometric patterns, and figures that weren't quite human with elongated limbs and large eyes. They were telling a story of sky people who visited this valley long, long ago. At the very back of the cave, he found the source of the valley's strange warmth. It was a large, smooth, dark crystal humming with a low, barely audible vibration. As he reached out to touch it, the carvings on the walls began to glow with a soft, blue light. Images flooded Jedediah's mind. He saw ships descending from the stars, beings walking among the ancestors of the wild Mustangs, and the creation of this valley as a sanctuary, a place of healing powered by the crystal. He saw that Shadow's lineage was ancient, bred by these visitors to be guardians of this secret place. The horse wasn't just a wild animal. He was a sentinel carrying a genetic memory passed down through countless generations. Jedediah stumbled out of the cave, his mind reeling. He looked at Shadow, who was waiting for him patiently, and he finally understood. The Mustang hadn't dragged him to his doom, it had saved him. Perhaps the horse sensed the weariness in the old rancher's soul, or perhaps Jedediah's own spirit was just wild enough to be recognized. The valley was a place of rejuvenation, and he had been chosen to experience it. He had a choice to make. He could try to find a way out, expose this incredible secret to the world, and change history forever. But what would the world do with such a place? It would be commercialized, studied, and ultimately destroyed. He looked at the peaceful valley, the clear stream, the glowing cave, and the magnificent horse who had brought him there. He thought about his solitary life back on the ranch, the endless cycle of work. Here he had found something more, a connection to something ancient and profound. He realized that this secret wasn't his to share, it was his to keep. He was the new guardian. Weeks later, the search parties that had been looking for Jedediah gave up, assuming he had met his end in the unforgiving wilderness. They put up a small memorial stone for the legendary rancher who was taken by the ghost stallion. But Jedediah wasn't gone. He was more alive than ever. He lived out the rest of his years in the hidden valley, a secret keeper in a timeless paradise. He learned the rhythms of the valley, the language of the wind, and the stories whispered by the glowing crystal. He and Shadow, the wild Mustang, and the old rancher became a new legend, not one of a man who conquered a horse, but of a man who was chosen by one. They were the silent protectors of a place where the stars had once touched the earth, a story known only to the mountains and the wild Wyoming wind. What do you think Jedediah did? What would you have done in his place? It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest discoveries are the ones we keep to ourselves. The world is full of wonders, many of them hidden just beyond our sight, waiting for the right person to find them. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tailies from the edge of the map.